What's going on, everybody? I'm here to give you another tutorial. Today we'll be doing a laser replacement for the original Xbox drive. I am calling this phase 2 of this tutorial because I have made another video basically just to clean it out and everything, to give everybody a chance to make what they've already got last a little longer. As you can see, the link that's popped up will bring you to that tutorial video. I do suggest that you should try that first, especially if you haven't already bought a laser. But I will also say that it is not a permanent fix and probably wouldn't give you any more than 3 or 4 months life out of what you've already got. But it is worth trying out because 3 to 4 months is 3 or 4 more months. Couple things I'd like to start off with saying is that I am going to be working with a Thompson drive today. I'm going to do my absolute best to cross-reference between the other versions. Typically everything I'm going to go over works generally the same, and it's going to have the same concepts behind it. It's just going to be placed a little differently, look a little differently, and that's about it. But otherwise, it's all going to work generally the same. Couple things you will need: the little small screwdrivers, electronic screwdrivers, or jewelry screwdrivers, as other people call them. And that's primarily all you'll need, besides, of course, the new laser. Also, I'm not going to actually physically put a new laser in this. I've had a few requests for this tutorial in the past few weeks, and since I don't have a laser I even want to put in this drive, since it works fine, I'm just going to take out this laser and then put in this laser. Just make sure that you replace the old laser with your new laser. I'll also tell you that if you're not sure how to get to this point with just your drive sitting in front of you, I do have another tutorial for that as well. As you can see, the link that's popped up, that is for the how to open tutorial, and if you're not sure how to do it, that'll be a great starting point, and then you can of course come back to this after you've got everything disassembled. Alright, so let's begin here. Start off with, we're going to need to get this tray out of the way. You don't have to fully remove it, but I feel like some of my viewers may want to, just so it'll be out of the way and they won't have to mess with it. So that's what I'll do as well. That way I can also show you how to put the tray back in. So what we'll do is we'll flip it over. Okay, and this is something that'll be different for a couple versions. I do know, I'm thinking there's only 2 different ways. With this one, we're going to work with this white piece. With the other versions, there will be a little piece of plastic that goes kind of this way in there, and it kind of protrudes out in this general area right here. If you have that version, what you have to do is just take this and kind of pry and then push in on the piece of plastic, and that will be what ejects this. For these versions, what all I have to do is just simply slide this little white thing over, and you can see it popped out on its own. Alright, now let's go ahead and pull this the rest of the way out. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, but you don't have to, and it will save you an extra step later. But like I said, since some of you might feel more comfortable doing that, I'll do it as well. For some of the trays, you'll see 2 little clips right around here. And those little clips work as though you pull them upwards, and as you pull them upwards, you'll push the tray out and get it out. Now for this one though, there's 2 little kind of clip little things here on the side. Okay, and what you do is you have to pick those and push them both out at the same time, and as you do that, push the tray out. Now we're going to set that aside and get it out of the way. Okay, the next part we'll do is we're going to flip it back over. Now, again, with different drive versions, the laser ribbon will connect to different areas. It'll look different or whatever. So for whatever version you have, just simply find your laser ribbon and follow it, and find where it connects to the DVD drive PCB. For this one, it's right here. Okay, and they should all work similar in the fact that there's a small locking mechanism. Never just take the ribbon and try to rip it out, because you will be really upset if you do. It's pretty simple. If you just take that little piece of plastic and kind of slide it out, like so, then the ribbon will simply pop out. Now, if you're feeling brave, you could go ahead and take the ribbon out of the laser. I wouldn't suggest it, especially if you're not super familiar with it, because if you leave this in here until you put the new laser in, it'll make it a lot easier to make sure you've got the pins facing the correct ways and you don't have them backwards. So I'm going to leave it in, and it's going to stay in throughout the tutorial, although I will mention it later to make sure and switch it out and everything. In this version, as you can see, there are two bars that the laser is connected to, and that's what it slides around on. On this one, it's not going to slide with unless it's powered. Some of them it will kind of slide even if it's not powered. Some of the differences I do know is that instead of two bars, it'll be one bar and then like a white plastic piece that it slides on. And I think there's one other version that's just kind of somewhere in the middle there, but still the exact same concept. For those, the plastic piece is the one you're going to leave alone. You don't need to unscrew it. You don't need to mess with it. For this one, what you'll need to do is, as you can see, the laser here is only attached one place. And that can actually slide right off of there without having to take it physically off. So all we'll need to do is remove this side. As you can see here, there's two little screws right here and right here. Those are little Phillips head screws, and that's where the little screwdrivers come in. So go ahead and get those unscrewed now. Once you've got them unscrewed, be very careful to keep them. If you lose even one of these screws, you will have major problems, and you will probably ruin your Xbox, because I'm pretty sure it's almost impossible to find these little screws somewhere for sale. So be very careful to hang on to them. I would suggest putting them in some sort of little tray or a little small box, something that has four sides so they won't be able to roll away if something vibrates them off. Okay, now that we've got those two screws out, I do know another difference is, like with this one, those screws were the only thing that held it on. But with some of them, it's a screw and a small metal clip. And if that's the case, you unscrew it, and then you also have to remove the clip. It's good to kind of look at it now and remember how those clips look, so it won't be as hard for you to remember how to put them back in there later. Especially since I don't have one of those versions, I'm not going to really be able to show you that in great detail. Alright, now that that's removed, you'll see that this laser is nice and loose now, and moves all over the place. So what you can do is slowly get it. Now, hold on, I got to get this kind of worked into an odd place here. Okay. There we go. Sorry, mine was kind of moved in an odd area. Now on this one, I think this is the only version like this, and this is also why I chose this drive, because it's kind of the odd one out. But there's a little small piece of plastic that actually connects to the gear, which then connects to the motor, which turns it. As you can see, I turn this wheel, and the laser moves as well. So what you'll need to do is feed it all the way to the front and take these two little screws out right here. Now my screwdriver is kind of stripped, so I might have to work a lot harder than you would here. Actually, that wasn't too bad. And then there's going to take out this second one here. Now, Of course, this one is giving me trouble. Okay. And actually, while doing that, it kind of worked out my laser a little bit without even having to remove it. Of course. So hopefully that happens to you too, but unfortunately my screwdriver is kind of stripped, so I was hoping it wouldn't require too much more than that anyways. If you do have to take the screw out, that's fine. Just take that second screw out, and then this plastic piece will come off, and then this thing will slide right out. Okay, now, as you can see, the laser is removed. And like I said, I left this in there because what we'll do is we'll install the laser first and then take this out and be able to place it directly in exactly how we see it in here, which makes it a lot easier. Alright, now as I said, I don't have an actual second laser I'm going to put in here. So, voila. It's a new laser. Let me go ahead and take this plastic piece off. I think it'll be a little bit easier to put it back in, and since that's how I've had you do it anyways. Okay, now that's how you should have it look with that piece removed. Okay, now, similar to how it went in there, this end goes in first. Also, of course, if you're using a new laser, you would slip the bar out and then simply put the bar into this laser. Like so. Now, if you have any problems for some reason getting them in there, you can always leave this out and then go in and put this in here. This is real simple. It just simply slides on out of the bar, and that's all there is to it. And then you can go in and put this bar in, and kind of, doesn't have to be perfect right now. And plus, there's little rivets in there that kind of get it lined up for you. And make sure it kind of free flows on there and that you don't feel any jerking or anything. If you do, you may have accidentally switched bars, or you may have gotten something on there, or you may have even ordered the wrong type of laser. Okay. Now, one thing you want to do is have it all the way scooted up to the spindle motor right here, which is what this sits on, because otherwise it's going to be impossible to put this little gear piece back on here. Okay. Now, the gear that actually connects to this is underneath this large wheel. So what you'll want to do is kind of slide it around, and you'll have to, oops, knock the laser out. It'll be a good idea to kind of hold this laser a little bit too for that reason. Alright, I'm sorry about that. You're going to have some choppiness right there. I accidentally just filled up the SD card. Didn't realize it was quite that full. Right where we left off, I was fiddling with this gear. And I went ahead and just finished that up since I was right in the middle. I didn't want to just leave that. The only thing I was really doing was just getting the small white piece that attaches to the bottom of the laser. Just get it kind of worked back in there. It's really not hard, you just kind of got to get it placed. As long as you've got this laser pushed all the way back, you won't have any problems at all, just kind of placing it in there. And then after that, just put your two screws back on that white piece that'll attach to the laser. And to make sure that you've done it right, after you're done, it won't work quite as well because, of course, you don't have the bar on the other side attached. But just kind of move the laser a little bit, and you'll see that wheel gear is working fine and is spinning as you're moving the laser back and forth. So for that, you shouldn't have too many problems. Although it can get kind of fidgety, just because it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt to sit there and hold the laser and get the gear back into the correct place while you get a screw started. But after a few tries, you shouldn't have too many issues getting it back in there. Something I will mention is all this I was just showing you with this gear system is for this drive only. I know that, or I'm pretty sure that all the other drives work a little bit differently in the way that the laser is moved. I know that at least 2 of the other drives. Instead of having this kind of weird gear setup, it'll actually have something I call a worm motor, which will typically run right along here. And the only difference is that with the worm motor, the worm motor is kind of got a long spirally gear looking thing in the middle, and then there will be a little white piece of plastic that attaches the laser to that worm motor. And so the only difference really is that instead of having to do all this with these other gear parts, like on this one, you'll just simply be taking that white piece on and off and on and off. And then, you know, of course, it kind of just attaches right back onto the worm motor, and then you'll screw the one little screw right back in there. And that's really all you're going to have to worry about if that's what version you're working with. And so with that, now we're set with the laser being attached back to the motor that moves it back and forth. Really, the only thing that's going to be left is just taking these little screws and reattaching the bar. And like I said, if you have a different version, you may have screws and little metal clamps. Hopefully you've kept up with them anyways, because if you lose them, I seriously doubt you'll be able to find anything like that for sale online, especially for the original Xbox. So anyways, what we'll do is we'll just get these screws attached. And I'll start doing that now. And like I said, if you have the clamp, just make sure it's positioned in the correct way. You can accidentally put it backwards, but you'll realize it pretty quickly, I believe, because it won't hold it quite like it's supposed to. Alright, so just let me get this screwed in here. Okay, let's see if I can get this other one. This might be kind of a pain since my screwdriver is kind of stripped out. So give me just a second for this. Okay, so now that's good, and you know it'll slide back and forth on your bar and all that. Now, well, it shouldn't right this second since the laser assembly is still down in there. Basically, what we're left with now is just getting this laser ribbon reattached, which is pretty simple. Since, of course, you probably left the laser ribbon in the original laser, simply just remove that out of the old laser and put it back in exactly like you took it out. And that way you'll make sure the pins are turned the correct way and you don't have them backwards or anything. And it should be pretty simple to figure out. You know, the ribbon should be bent in a certain way where it's pretty obvious how it needs to be placed back in there. So simply just get that line back up. And of course make sure the lock is open so you don't have to get frustrated with that. And this shouldn't be too hard, but the ribbon is kind of floppy, so you may have to get a good hold of it. Alright, and now we've got that reattached. And really that's about it. I am going to show you how to put this disc tray back in here, just in case you took it out. But if not, then of course you can just disregard this part. For this, what you want to do is actually there is a track that goes along the bottom of the disk drive. And the point of this is on this little white piece here that we were fiddling with earlier. There's a little notch on here. And what you got to do is you got to line that notch up with the track I just showed you on the bottom. And so you want to get that inside, that little notch on here, inside the track, and then you can just slide it right back in. And that is all of that. hopefully I've done a good enough job. I know there are some big differences in the way the laser attaches to the motor. So hopefully there wasn't too many hitches there. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. But that pretty much sums it up. I hope you enjoyed everything, and I hope it wasn't too awfully difficult. Definitely look to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is completely free, and I've got a lot of other great tutorials, repair tutorials. I've got showcases of case moddings for all kinds of different consoles, and even some other gaming videos and stuff. So lots of cool stuff you can check out. And that's pretty much it. Just don't forget to leave comments, as I can get back to you pretty quickly on most cases. And I guess until next time.